Okay, welcome everyone. Good to have you here. And well done. Well done to such an amazing training that we've had. Well done to your time. Well done for everything you guys have put into it. And like I said before, this coming together is just a way. It's more than just a way. It's us coming together to share our experiences, share the whole process, and bring people in so that they could enjoy or have a feel of what we went through for the past, is it 2 months? Roughly 2 months. We started in August. Okay, so this is a recap of the holistic training, talking with the two amazing facilitators that I have here. Olanike, please tell us about yourself.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Olanike, I'm into development, leadership, and development training, right? For let's say a little over 10 years right now. And my target audience regarding training has to do with children, youth, women, right? And it also cuts across adults really regarding if I have to do a governance training or, what's demanded. Basically, if it has to do with empowering society and ensuring that society is better and they have a superior mindset to, approaching things into such training. Would that be all, or do you want me to say any other thing, please?
That's, we will definitely come in and then you explain much more, but
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much. I know you
Thank
have
you.
a lot up your sleeves, and it's so amazing that I'll just tap into Nike. Give us more. And then we have our amazing facilitator to Omobolaji. So Omobolaji, please, can you tell us about yourself and who you are?
All right, Omobolaji Ayedogbon is my name, and I'm a creative life and clarity coach for children, young adults, and adults, to be precise. Basically, what I do is I work with children, I hold them by their hands, take them through life. I don't make decisions for them, but I just guide, just to stand as a guide for them. Aside that, for every adult I come in contact with, I speak to the child in them, thereby bringing them back to the reality of who they're meant to be and to bring them back to fulfilling what their dreams are in life. And so, for the fun of everything in life, we need clarity. Clarity is key. And when you have clarity, it brings about creativity. You'll be able to maneuver life in a good and a perfect way. Now, the truth is nobody is perfect and you can't get it all perfect. But the basic thing is when you have clarity, good information, creativity spawns into action. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Like you guys, can you see we had an amazing team. And who am I? My name is Oluwabumi. I love my name, absolutely. And so who am I? I'm a behavioral therapist. I am somebody that guides you towards wholeness in different areas that people go through. And also, I'm a professional trainer. One major aspect of who I am and who I have always been is that I'm a professional trainer, I'm a professional facilitator. I've had over 15 years experience in the civil society sector. And one major area that I do is training, development, transformation. So that's the aspect I brought in. So I brought in my therapist skills, and I also brought in, my training tools. So I'm just going to throw it over to any of us that can answer why holistic training. What is holistic training? Why did we come together to do this? Anybody want to answer that?
Okay, so I just like to chip in. So holistic basically is all encapsulating. So it's when we hear the word holistic, what comes to our mind is whole, something that is whole, right? And so it cuts across not just the mental aspect of people or not just the mental aspects of people that were trying to effect change in their mindset, but also in their decisions, their physical, aspects. We've had students ask us, oh, their bodies like this. So that was also a cause for concern. Even their spiritual walk with God, in a world where, it people could hush you regarding your walk with God, or could make you seem like you are not in the larger crowd of wannabes, right? So we let them see that your spiritual aspect is as important, as much as your financial aspect, your mental aspect. So it's holistic, ensuring that there's a balance, with the fact that we don't just have students who are high flying in the academics, yet their morals are low, or they are, you see them giving awards. We've had instances of seeing celebrities or people who have a very huge high like IQ, but when it has to do with, their morals, their values, their principles guiding them, it's very low. And so that's why it's holistic, because we want to touch, every aspect of their lives. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Bolaji, do you want to share anything more about why holistic training? Why do we come together? Why do you agree to come together with us to do it?
Okay, I see holistic training as a place where culture is being imbibed in children. Because the truth is, in every phase of life, it is a culture that you're living with in that place. So culture that, your culture you got from your family, but the basic thing at the end of the day is a culture from God, your creator. What is that culture you need to learn to be able to be that difference, to be able to be that leader, and to be able to be that blessing to everyone around you? So culture, holistic training sort of came about as a place to receive culture training so as to transform every phase of your life. And not only that, as children, because the way the world is today, everything is accepted, everything and anything. But the truth is, it is not meant to be so. So culture to place you above the things of the world, above the things the world sees as success, but is actually failure. Culture to place you there is what we're working with. Thank you.
Thank you. For me, interestingly, I'm quite selfish and about this training, and I'm going to explain why. So I have two teenage, I have a teenage daughter and I have a preteen daughter. And so the reason why, we came together, and I was like, just agreeing for us to do this is because of, I need this for my children. I need a place whereby my children, we can give them the best, and then we could monitor what they listen to and what they hear. So I'm a therapist. I understand what is going on, and I understand that we need to be intentional in how we are training children. We need to be intentional. So being a mom, and being a lot of people know me that I'm a bear mom. My children are so important to me. And so being able to say, okay, what would I want to train my children? What would I want my children to know? As a therapist, as a Christian, as someone that's an educationalist, what are the things that I wish somebody sat my children down to train them and make them somebody that will stand up in the society? And so for me, it was quite personal. It was quite selfish, the fact that I want my children to have this information in a controlled environment whereby they're getting the truth. Because we realize that right now, we can all say that there's no truth. Let's be sincere. People have their concept of their truths, but we know that they are fundamental truths. And so that's one of the reasons why I agreed, for us to do this together, because of my selfish reasons. And I saw that, this reason now cascaded openly, because I really wanted that for all that. So the holistic was, what are the areas, what exactly are children facing, and how can we answer them? And so that's why we talk about all the aspects Nike talked about their morals, because we understand that morals are very important. Bolaji talked about their clarity, and all that. And then we talked about bringing all of them together, things that people won't tell them. But the teenagers are already having these questions anyway, they're already exposed anyway. So you rather come talk to them than assume or pretend they don't know it. And so what we decided to do, and you guys can chime in into that, is we decided to be very real and very honest about the questions that we know that teenagers are asking themselves, and they've not found the platform to talk about it, right? So what is one of the experience, Nike, let me just go over to you. What was one of the experience while you were training, were the things that you knew that these are the questions? How did that guide your training when you realized that teenagers would ask this question anyway? So I rather pretend I don't know it, or just be honest and speak to them in a way whereby I can bring them the truth, and I am the one bringing the truth rather than somebody. Can you give one example of that during the training?
Okay, so I would state that probably 50-60% of teenagers, they have a cause for concern to know when to start a relationship. For instance, they want to know when to start a romantic relationship. They, like when we took a session for them, we let them understand that their brain right now is undergoing a formative process. And so there's every likelihood that they feel that that is what is essential now. But when they look 5 years and they look back, they're like, oh my goodness, I've grown. There's so much I could have done, within this time frame. And so to cut short any error, to ensure that they do not, there's a mindset basically that, oh, omode, when I was a child, I acted like a child. That is why we are guiding them, so they do not make decisions that they look back 5 years and say that, oh, it was just a foolish decision I made regarding, relationship. Not that relationship is not important. It's important, but they just need to prioritize, they were taught the essence of prioritizing, when to be friends. It's okay to be friends, when to start, how do you know that you are ready, for a relationship? How are you responsible enough to cater for another person? Are you able to make sound decisions when you are just alone with this person? How solid are your values? And I'm glad we're able to take them through that session.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just to chime in into what you said, one of the things that I liked, because you took that session, one of the things I liked that you spoke about that session was the fact of, are you ready for the consequences that come with dating? A lot of times it's just, oh, I like this person, but you brought them into that understanding of there are consequences that come with dating. There are consequences that come with engaging in sexual relationships. So not just saying do not date, but make them aware that there are consequences. So you ask yourself, are you aware? Are you aware that these decisions you are making have consequences, and can you take the consequences? Can you take that risk? So I really liked, you having that conversation with them. And so with Bolaji, I want to go into the conversation you had with them about personality, understanding, sorry, it's not personality that you used as the topic. Let me go into what it strength finders, right? And I know that a lot of them were quite surprised that they could find their personalities in dates. So if you want to add to what Nick has said, you can, add to it. But if you just want to dive into, your topic about strength finders, and again, what did that explain to you about the youth, the teenagers? What information did it give you? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I would actually start by adding to what Olanike talked about. I really appreciated the fact that the consequences thing you talked about. I remember someone once told me something, that before you do anything, think of what would happen to you next. And that's what we call the consequences.
Mhm.
And, you know, usually when you say, okay, I want to pick what is not mine, you know, the consequences is that you get caught. And imagine it's in a public place. What happens next? Here in Lagos State, Nigeria, we know people take laws into their hands. And what happens next? They throw tires on you and, you know, turn you into ashes. And definitely, we don't want that for our children. We don't want that for our angels. I love to call them angels, because when you hear angels, you sort of adore them. So, you know, here, while that is coming into them, now what does that do to them? It helps them to understand their values. What is my value? How aware are you about yourself? How do you practice what you know about yourself? Now, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the things I love doing? You know, what are the things I love people do to me? And what do I love to do to people? Now, can I lead myself? Am I leading myself? Am I growing? What do I know about me? These are questions that these children, you know, face. They tend to ask themselves. And the truth is, a lot of them don't have answers to it. And that's where the strength finders came in. Because the way this training came was more like everything was interwoven, all the topics. And bringing this knowledge to them helped them to attain something, wholesomeness at the end of the training. And how did this happen? Who am I? What do I love to do? Now they got to understand, oh, okay, I have this in my personality. I have this value. I have this understanding about me. I gained clarity about what self-awareness would do to make me become who I'm meant to be. Aside that, it brought in career path that they could, you know, fall into because of who they are, what they love to do, how they do those things, why they do those things. Another aspect is communication. Having to be able to communicate with themselves first, then with the next person. Having, you know, to be able to understand people, then understand themselves. Now, what did this do at the end of the day? It made them understand, oh, I want to be a doctor because I know that I am caring. I want to be a nurse because I know I'm caring. I want to become an event manager because I am creative. So this brought this awareness to them. And for me, I enjoyed it because it helped me to know some other parts of me that I even didn't know I have. So this is a training that actually helped them to know how to lead themselves. Now, aside leading themselves, they knew how to lead others. And the next thing, they started embracing who they are, and they're able to relate naturally with themselves and with every other person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, one thing that I picked up, because I'm going to be talking about what even I learned, you know, while being in the training when we're talking about strength finders, was the understanding of how personality and linking it together with career choice, because we realize that a lot of times at that age, you know, there's a lot of conflict, and, you know, in psychology, we call it dissonance. There's a lot of dissonance with, you know, with wanting to copy and who you are. You know, at that age, there's just that dissonance of peer pressure and who they originally are. So having this training was able to help them solidify who they are, you know, not copying, but appreciating other people and improving, because I know you spoke about the fact that you are growing, so the personalities can get interwoven, but accepting who you are and begin to look at your career choices and thinking critically of the part of you, you know, that helped your personality. You know, it made me go back into time. Let me just put that in now, like, okay, that's true, you know. and all that. Yeah, thank you. So for me, what I'm going to talk about, so the trainings and how we started, we can't start listing all the topics, but we're trying to talk about, most of the topics we did and all that. I know when I took the topic of understanding your values and identity, and that was the beginning of the topic after the onboarding and all that. What that did, even to me while I was training, was value, understanding, because value seems, before it looks like it's vague, if you say, what are your values and all that, but being able to let them talk. So while we are having that discussion, I want us to talk about the style of training we use, the method of facilitation we used, and one method of facilitation that helped was, facilitation, not training, allowing them to talk much more, getting what they have, and then bringing a more, I don't want to use the word superior, but guiding their thoughts. So the training wasn't just, coming to teach them, but opening up the mode of communication and allowing them to be free to talk, which they were, and interestingly that it was virtual, but the chat room was open, conversations was going on, bantering was going on, and all that. So teaching them about values and then leading to identification. So Nike, let's talk about the mode of facilitation now. No, let me go to Bolaji because it looks like you're closer to me when I'm talking like this. So let's go down a bit today. So the mode of facilitation, how did, was this new for you, how the mode of facilitation was, and how do you think that helped in bringing out the beauty and the uniqueness of this training?
All right. Okay. So, well, I've facilitated so many trainings, and I would say this came with a difference. And what difference was this? What difference did this come with? It came with the fact that we wanted to know where the children were at that time we were talking to them, to have an understanding of their present position, to have an understanding of what they know about all the topics we facilitated, with them. And we realized that these children actually know a lot. They have an understanding of a lot of things. The only thing they actually needed was just a guide. Now, it takes me back to what I said when I first spoke. Holding them by their hands, not making decisions for them, but, guiding them through life. Because that is something I so appreciate a lot in my life. I miss my dad so much because of that. He held me by my hands and was guiding me. And that guide actually gave me this room to be able to express myself. And that was an experience we had. The children were able to express themselves because there was room. Thanks to Olanike that made the room come on fire. There was a connection she had with the children. The connection was so strong when she was talking about relationships. And you need to hear what these children were saying. And that's to encourage you out there. Your children have a lot to say out. Please, you could get in touch with Olanike. She'll put you through that phase. She will make you know. Because you need to hear what these children were saying. So our mode of facilitation, I would say, came on a different platform. Not the usual that, okay, this is what I'm coming to tell you. We want to know what you know. We want to understand your mindset. We want to know where you need a mind shift. And that really helped. So, Alanika, thanks so much. I love you big for that.
Absolutely. So, okay, please, over to you. The mode of facilitation, just run us through it and all that. Why was it new? What do you learn? Why did you use that mode of facilitation? Just, guide us through it.
Okay, so over the years, I've been privileged to train adolescents, young adults, universities, and secondary school. And the aim of these trainings are to create safe spaces, right? And that's the essence of, having a safe space. And many times people say that, oh, I'm your safe space, speak to me. But are they truly your safe space? You say you can talk to me at any time, but they don't feel safe in your arms. They don't feel that when you speak, they listen. So over the years,
Yep.
You have to be a safe space as a facilitator. You have to be a safe space. And then you bring that atmosphere to your students that they can actually see that, you know what, I can actually talk to Miss Nikki after class. I can actually reach out to her and say that, oh, when we were talking about this, I have had this with a guy before. What do you think about it? And many of them may not have the avenue to speak, openly, but having a safe space gives room for creativity and expression. There's this avenue where they feel that they're not judged. There's no judgmental zone. They feel that, look, this is who I am, and I'm in a safe space. I can be myself. We all have relationships where, it could be your spouse, it could be your best friend, where you just let down your guard, and that's the essence of this training, that we don't want them to, even if they've made mistakes, they would come the way they are, knowing that they would not leave the way they are, but they would live transformed, a better mindset. So I think that was the essence and the whole vision of having that mode of, training them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, because I totally agree with the way the mode of training was. They were communicating. The one that made me laugh was the fact that, like I said, my two daughters were there. They weren't even bothered that I was there. They were opening up, talking about, oh, they didn't like this thing that my mom does. They didn't like this thing my mom does. And I was chuckling, but obviously I could hear, and them talking about, oh, I don't like the way my mom talks to me in this area. I would have loved she had, they've said this, and all the children being able, I don't want to use the word children, all the young adults that we had being able to, communicate, and week after week, they still are very open to communicate. It wasn't just a one-off thing. Every time they opened up, they were not devoid of, which was quite interesting, because they could feel my two daughters were there, Bolaji's daughters were there. So, so it wasn't like the place was so open that they could still communicate, even though, in quotes, because some other trainings, and it was important to me, because some other trainings, if a parent is there, they will say a parent go out, so that we can talk to the children. But with the people, but the way the training was, they were aware that their parents were there, but they were still able to communicate and speak. And I think it's just, like we said, the way the openness and being a safe space and addressing these things were very crucial. We needed to talk about that, because in a lot of settings, especially if we are Africans, African children don't speak, a lot of truth to their parents. So let's go to the uniqueness of this training. So one unique aspect of this training is that we brought the concept and the truth of Christ into it, right? So the training was very professional, very bringing everything, but also very Christian, very Christ-like. Why do we do that? Let me go to Bolaji, Nike now. Why do you think that we brought in from the beginning the huge emphasis of Christ and our Christian walk into the conversation?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think that the three of us were all believers. Every facilitator who embarked on this training, who were privileged to train these children, have a deep relationship with God. And so it only behooves us that we reflect a kingdom that we are representing. And originally, if you go back to scripture, we all have our identity crafted in Jesus Christ, in God, right? And so that they don't have this guess about their identity, where they are from, oh, their parents copulated, okay, is that all about them? No, it's establishing the fact that, look, there is a God who created you after his image, and we're introducing him to you. And peradventure you've heard about him, peradventure you've not heard about him, but we just wanted to introduce the God factor, the Christ factor, the godly factor to them so that they are conscious, wherever they go to, wherever they mingle with their friends, they wouldn't be ashamed of carrying the badge of, I am a believer, I am saved, I belong to Jesus. Oh, it's not the in thing, we are the babes, we are the dudes, we are the young ones, people don't really know. So from the onset, we began to introduce them to, look, your identity stems from God, and we can't, there's no way we could even have effectively communicated this to them if we individually do not even have a relationship with God. So I think that the bonus and the icing on the cake really is that we all have intimacy with God. And so it was an easy peasy thing to talk to them about, God, right? Across our modules and all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. I agree. Why Bolaji is trying to come on properly again. For me, to be very sincere, this is it. I had, like I said, I have 2 daughters, and there's a deep burning or deep burden on my heart towards raising